the same for elective paper. We have uh, the third chapter is about globalization and advantages, disadvantages, and also we have syllabus about MNCs, multinational corporations. So in this lesson, we are going to discuss about the meaning and the characteristics of MNCs and also the role of MNCs in process of development and also political dimension of globalization. So we know about that MNCs. MNCs means multinational corporations. So actual meaning is, according to United Nations, a multinational corporation is an enterprise which owns or controls production or service facilities outside the country in which it is based. So, in simple words, we will say the MNC will be headquartered in one state. One state means one country, and it operates in another countries. So that's what we called as MNCs. So if we see, for example, in Hyderabad, there are a number of MNCs are there in IT-based industries, IT sector, in high-tech city like that. So that MNCs are actual headquarters is placed in like some USA, China, like another country. So its headquarters is another state, another country, and it operates like India in many countries. Its branches will be there to operate the company activities. So if you see the characteristics of these MNCs, many companies want to become multinational corporations, especially in developing economies, because they spend less on production costs. So if you see the actual their goal is they need labor which take low salaries. That's what they established their branches in most of the developing nations. So when a company produces or manufactures its products in another country where they sell them, they are exempt from import quotas and tariffs. So that's what most of the MNCs are based. If you see the products like Pepsi, Coca-Cola, and other electronics, including cars, and televisions, laptops, mobile phones. Many MNCs are established in India. So they placed their companies in India just because of they escape these import quotas and tariffs, taxes for selling the products in India. So sometimes not all businesses can be called a multinational corporation. So if you see the major characteristics of these multinational corporations, to become a multinational corporation, the business must be own a huge amount of assets and both physical and financial. So the company's targets are so high that they are also able to make substantial profits. So multinational companies keep production and marketing operations in different countries. In each country, the business oversees more than one office that functions through several branches and subsidiaries. So as we said, the company will established in one country and operates in many countries. So the management of the offices means branches or subsidiaries of an MNC in another countries is controlled by one head office. So located in the home country. So if the MNC is home country in India and it have branches in Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, America, etc., the branches of these MNC will operate from India's head office only. Therefore, the source of command of an MNC is found in the home country. So multinational corporations keep growing even as they operate in other countries, they strive to grow their economic size by constantly upgrading and even doing mergers and acquisitions. So when a company goes global or international level, they need to make sure that their investment will grow. So in order to achieve substantial growth, they need to make use of capital and intensive technology, especially in their production and marketing. So these multinational companies are large-sized business companies operated in two or more than two countries. So the multinational companies are large-sized business organizations. They have huge resources in terms of capital, technology, people, and information. So they are highly efficient and complex too. So multi-country operations also one of the major characteristic of these MNCs. So this is another characteristic. Multinational companies operate in several countries. They can have production, marketing, and service type of operations. So if we see the production, for example, for production, many mobile companies, laptops are uh, the production plants are there in Hyderabad surrounding areas. If we see MI phones or Lenovo, Toshiba, these are located surrounding Hyderabad areas. So if we see the marketing and service type of operations, MNCs are located in high-tech city. So they cover large geographical areas. They have assets and activities in two or more countries. So various objectives also there for these multinational companies, because this is the company established for the multi-purpose and multi-profitable activities will be initiated by the MNC. Access to new market opportunities, to expand market size, and access to cheap raw materials, to reduce costs and increase competitive capacity. So access to cheap source of labor to reduce costs of labor and energy. If you see in India, the labor will they get for at low wages, low salaries. So that's what they are establishing more and more companies in India. So after the initiation of foreign direct investments, so many of developed nations are establishing their branches, their multinational corporations in India, particularly. So, and also they will get the low cost wages, working with low cost wages, labor will get, and they reduce the cost of labor of MNC. So multinational corporations operate in various environments, the political, legal, economic, social, and cultural and technological forces from different from country to country. So the ownership and control of multinational company is centralized in the home country. As we said, the branches of these MNCs are controlled by the head office where it is located in their home country. So they provide share ownership of local people in host countries. So and also multinational companies deal in currencies in several countries. The risk is high because of changing values of currencies in host countries. So high efficiency is also another feature of multinational corporation, because it is highly efficient due to mass production leading to economic of scale and use of advanced technology to increase speed of production, and also professional management and also marketing skills to use resources effectively. So this is one of the important features or characteristics of MNCs. If you see the competitive advantages of these multinational corporations. A multinational corporation is an organization that has its resources in its own country, and also the if you see, as we said, the lower production cost is one of the future, and the price stability also one of the characteristic of this multinational corporation. And product quality, if you see, offering consistency in a product quality allows a multinational corporation to remain competitive. So quality can be measured in terms of the performance of the product, the quality of customer service, and how easy to maintain or upgrades product. If you see, for example, we are using many. If you see, we are using many mobile phones. For example, if we want to buy an high-end mobile like Apple, it will cost minimum price at least to 60 to 70,000 basic price. In that mobile, what we are getting the features, we are getting same features in low and mid average phones like Mi or Oppo, something else. So the features are same, but we are getting at low cost. So this is one of the this is one of the competitive atmosphere created in the name of multinational corporations. So the price stability also there. Input costs can vary for reasons such as variations in exchange rates, resource scarcity, and changes in labor costs. The goal is not necessarily to find the lowest input cost, and also therefore, it is considered risky to invest in locations that may have low input costs but could be subject to some form of instability. And also, market demands are regularly subject to changes such as demand seasonality, and being able to respond rapidly to such as event allows corporation to remain able to continuously offer goods and markets. So at the same time, competitors may be unable to, thus being a temporary situation of monopoly. So it is also one of the important characteristic of multinational company. So we have several models of multinational corporations. If we see the centralized model, companies put up an executive headquarters in their home country, and they build various manufacturing plants and production facilities in other countries. If we see, for example, many car producing companies and televisions, laptops are the example of the centralized model. So another one is regionalized model, states that a company keeps its headquarters in one country that supervises a collection of offices that are located in various countries. So and another model is multinational model. The parent company operates in the home country and puts up subsidiaries in different countries. So the difference is that the subsidiaries or affiliates are more independent in their operations. So if we see the role of MNCs in economic development, the role of MNCs in the process of economic role development is an important issue today. So most of the countries in the world recognized that MNCs contribute in many ways to economic development. If you see, they are establishing their companies in several countries. So the countries get taxes and revenue from the MNC, and also that MNC will provide employment for the country, and their entry into developing countries makes transfer of funds from developed countries to developing countries. So they can generate employment directly and indirectly. So they contribute for increasing the national income of host countries. They can also help to improve managerial standards and entrepreneurial abilities of the host countries. So, and also MNCs are expected to play a key role in the transfer of technology from developed countries to developing countries. So, this is equally essential for economic development. On the marketing side, MNCs have worldwide marketing network, skills, and reputation. So, and also the government made drastic changes in the regulations relating to MNCs under the LPG program, liberalization, privatization, and globalization. In India, the major liberalization program was introduced in July 1991 to reduce the operational barriers of MNCs in Indian political economy. So, under the liberalization program, the governments made many changes in existing policies: industrial policy, foreign investment policy, fiscal and monetary policy, foreign exchange policy, export and import policy, etc. These changes are in the policies have been initiated so as to allow the MNCs to grow and contribute the development of the host country. And also MNCs are adopted strategies for highlighting their potentiality, positive contributions by advertising widely their goals for corporate social responsibility. So CSR. So CSR is a self-regulatory mechanism. So a business monitors and ensures its active compliance with the spirit of the law. And also we have another topic is about globalization. So globalization is also one of the important topic in our syllabus. So the globalization envisages borderless world or seek the world as a global village. So it may be attributed by the accelerated flow of goods, people, capital, information, and energy across borders, often enabled by technological developments. So, however, isolation forced by several problems is caused like COVID-19 pandemic, the growth of globalization in the world. So, the increased unemployment, growing inequality, and anemic growth in the aftermath of the global financial crisis, popularly in the developed world, are the main reasons for the rise of protectionism in all across the globe. So, if you see the rise of globalization, origin of modern globalization, what today is referred to as a globalization, started with the end of the Cold War and the disintegration of the Soviet Union in 1991. So globalization was the offshoot of two systems, democracy and capitalism. So that emerged victorious at the end of the Cold War. So these ideas were transmitted across the world, though free trade and increased intercountry movement of capital and labor. So the idea that all countries should unequally move towards democracy underpinned with capitalism was packaged in policies commonly referred to as the Washington Consensus or neoliberalism. So if you see the politics of this globalization, politically it refers to increasing global governance via international institutions or growing alignment of national policies. So it involves both benefits such as coordinated crisis strategies and cost such as less national self-determination too. So a liberal democracy combined with free market capitalism was the best way to organize society. So if you see the developing and developed countries collaboration, the partnership between the developed and developing countries based on three planks. One is offshoring of manufacturing and low-end services jobs to the developing countries. And the second one is developed countries run large trade deficits by acting as the market for the increased output of developing countries. And the last one is developing countries financing the trade benefit or deficit of the developed countries by accumulating large foreign exchange reserves. So if we see the advantages of globalization, uh, access to goods and services. Globalization results in increased trade and standard of living. It heightens competition within the domestic product, capital, and labor markets, as well as among countries adopting different trade and investment strategies, and also resulted in national capital markets becoming increasingly integrated, and also transnational companies investing in installing plants in other countries provide employment for the people in those countries, often getting them out of poverty. So, and also by reducing cross-border distances, globalization has increased cross-cultural understanding and sharing. So, a neutral, globalized society boosts up the rate at which people are exposed to the culture, attitudes, and values of people in other countries. And also, globalization will provide the sharing of technology and values. So, it also provides poor countries, though infusions of foreign global capital and technology with the chance to develop economically and by spreading prosperity. So, there are huge number of benefits are there with this globalization process. If you see, the free flow of capital from one country to other, which increases the global investment, and the flow of technology from advanced countries to the developing countries, thus enabling the developed countries to implement new technology. And also better services also provided by this globalization process, though the technological advancement our services like water supply, mobile networking, internet, electricity supply, any other services have been easier and better than before. By the way, easy access to the internet throughout the globe is also the result of the globalization. And also transfer of technology is also important advantage of this globalization process. Any country can borrow the technology, though the agreement, and can implement in their country for their overall development. We can communicate each other easily from any part of the globe by using advanced technology at minimal cost. So time and efforts also they can put on this process of transfer of technology for their overall development. And also the integration of economies as the key process of globalization enables countries to fight against poverty and improve the standard of living of the people. And many researchers have been stated that when a country open up their trade to the globe, their rate of economic growth is faster and living standards tend to increase. So standardization of living will increase by this process of globalization. And also due to technological advancement and its transfer throughout the globe helps to improve countries infrastructure, and also countries are more enabling to deliver their services to the people. Development infrastructure also means overall development of respective countries. Here, it is necessary to say that economic growth and development of infrastructure are compatible with each other. And also through this globalization process, the countries can build foreign exchange reserves owing to international financial flows. And also globalization entails to optimum utilization of resources, wherein deficit resources are procured and surplus resources are exported to the other countries. If we see, if we are more getting of any product or anything, we can export to the other country. If we are in case of deficit of some of resources, we can import from the other countries. This ensure overall economic growth. So affordable products also, with the access to the latest technology, the countries can provide products to its countrymen at affordable prices. So globalization process competition, it promotes competition in domestic economies and their endeavor to compete against competition. Companies reduce product price or follow penetration pricing strategy. As we said, for example of these mobile phones or laptops, we are getting best products at lower prices due to the competitiveness created by this globalization process. So we are getting high-end mobile at the low price of at minimum cost of 10,000. So if we buy a same features phone in a popular company, it will cost around 50 to 1 lakh also. So the competitive created by this globalization process, the consumers, the people are getting best products at a lower price just because of this globalization process. So this is also one of the important advantages of this globalization process. And also this globalization ensures contribution of every country to the world GDP growth. And also above all, these globalization promote extension of market. It provides an opportunity to the domestic companies in going global. For instance, domestically, companies can witness saturation in the demand for their products or services, but through this globalization, the domestic companies can sustain and satisfy the growing demands of foreign customers. So several disadvantages also there with this globalization process. The globalization that just keeps doing well to us is not true. It impacts us in multi-dimensional way. So it has some disadvantages also. One is growing inequality. Globalization can increase inequality throughout the world, increasing specialization and trade. So although specialization and trade boost per capita income, it may cause relative poverty also. So to illustrate this, we'll take an example. All dominated multinational companies in the world are located in the United States of America. All these companies are buying cheaper labor from developing and underdeveloped countries for their product manufacturing or assembling. So China, India, and Africa are prime examples of this. It increases the employment of such countries, but they are lagging behind relatively developed countries. So as we said, we are providing uh, 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 labor in different forms, like in production and marketing and after sales services also provided by the developing countries like India and China and Africa. So if you see in Hyderabad, in high-tech city, there are various number of software companies are there. So they are purposefully established for here because of the MNCs are getting labor at low cost and low wages by the Indian people. So that's what we are servicing. We are providing our services to the MNCs which are located headquarters in United States and China, etc. Most of the developed nations. So they are getting, they are reducing the cost of labor in marketing and assembled and after sales service also. So this is one of the disadvantage from this globalization process. Again, those companies coming to these countries for only for this purpose of cheap labor. They also deprive of that country, that is American people, from work. So it appears that relative poverty is being created in developing countries as well. And also increasing of the unemployment rate, also one of the disadvantages of this globalization process. So globalization can increase unemployment rate where people are getting jobs. How it is possible? Here is an explanation. The globalization demands for higher skilled work with cheaper price, but countries where institutions are relatively weak are not capable of producing highly skilled workers. As a result, the unemployment rate is increasing in those countries. So when many foreign companies invest heavily in developing countries, they hire employee from that country. In some cases, their salaries are very lower than the other developed countries. So moreover, the demand for these employees in developed countries is very low. Moreover, with the emergence of global economic crisis, their jobs are at risk of losing. So, and also the impact of this globalization process, the balance of trade imbalance also arised by this globalization process. As a result of globalization, any country can trade to any part of the globe. That is why in some cases developing countries are so much dependent on the developed nations. So in terms of import goods, but in their export capabilities are lower than import. So the trade imbalance has been occurring. So trade imbalance refers to the imbalance values between a country's import and exports goods and services. It is also called trade deficits. So trade imbalance also may be increased in developed countries by their competitors. So the pace of industrialization increasing as the result of globalization. So industrialization boosts the economic growth, but it harms environment as well. So globalization loots from the nature and it harms us very badly. So if we see an example, Coca-Cola or Pepsi is world's leading soft drink company. So this company consume huge amount of water for making soft drinks. In the state of northern India, Uttar Pradesh, a Coca-Cola plant was closed by the government order to because of too much usage of water claimed by local farmers. In North India, the level of the groundwater is very low, but huge usage of this water for the interest of a MNC is very harmful for domestic farming. So in Kerala, the state of southern India, the Coca-Cola plant was also closed due to the polluting the water which was supplied to the local communities. Also, MNCs use the natural resources of different countries extensively for their personal gain. Various chemical industries are very harmful to our health by polluting the soil, water, air. So according to some critics, the process did not benefit the poor. The impact of globalization on environmental protection is not too great and did not stabilize the global economy. So the politics formulated by the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and the World Trade Organization only serve the interests of the developed world, especially the internal interests of those countries. Developing countries have no place in it. So the ideas of all these countries regarding globalization revolve around a particular economic and social scenario. So This is also one of the major disadvantage of globalization. So today the globalization is big phenomenon which nations of the world maintain good relations with each other. So sometimes globalization may lead to several economical, social, and cultural benefits to countries that are still developing. Uh, so it may lead to benefit those who are already rich than those who are not respected. So globalization simply refers to interaction between people, businesses, and governments of different countries of the world. Interaction can be verbal, transactional, or cultural. So this is the advantages and disadvantages of this globalization process. So So if you see, uh, if you see the United Nations Development Program reports that the richest 20% of the world population consume 86% of the world resources, while the rest 80% consume just 14%. So it will means increasing inequality. So some malpractices of MNCs will raised by this globalization process because MNCs are um, uh, accused of social injustice, unfair working conditions, including slave labor, wages, living and working conditions, as well as lack of concern for the environment, mismanagement of natural resources, and ecological damage. Also, MNCs which were previously restricted to commercial activities are increasingly influencing political dimensions of decision making process. Many think there is a threat of corporation ruling the world because they are gaining power due to this globalization process. So uh, and also, globalization promotes people's taste to converge, which may lead to more cultural homogeneity. So, due to this, there is a danger of losing precious cultural practices and languages also. Also, there are threats of cultural invention of one country over another. So, there is no need for better understanding of globalization effects and the interplay of its economies with other issues areas. So, so this is about the concept of globalization process. So, if you see uh, the political dimension of globalization, with the emergence of globalization, state and governments become much more dependent on international organizations, bilateral and multilateral contracts. So, in the agenda of globalization, the key theme is delimiting the functions of government and of public intervention. So, the loss of functions by the government departments meant expanding the functional domain of private and voluntary organizations as an alternative delivery system. So limits were also set to the discretion of public servants. So the new public management paradigm with its stress on managerial accountability and clearer political control through a sharper distinction between politics and administration. So government reform become worldwide. Therefore, the sovereignty and the role of the physical systems and the political systems decreased. So the MNCs have a political impact which may differ from issue to issue and country to country. So the means of political influence of the MNCs employ also differ. So MNCs can leverage their bargaining power of offering either inducements or promise of new investment or deprivations or threats of withdrawal of investment. So by direct lobbying, the representatives of a company meet senators or staff members to inform about the cause for their country. or convince officials to make decisions in favor of the company. So corporations have hired lobbyists to influence the decision making authorities of government policies. So if you see, the MNCs help a developing host country by increasing investment, income, and employment in its economy. So they contribute the development of the country through transfer of technology, finance, and management. So MNCs promotes exports of the host country. So globalization handed these multinationals too much power. Therefore, the need for strong states is warranted. So this is all about globalization. So globalization has opened the boundaries of the state. So globalization affects everyone, individuals, communities, countries, regions, and institutions. So globalization tends to shape not only the organizational character of the administrative state, but also the managerial dimension of politics and administration. So it is increasingly recognized that good governance is significant in a country's developmental processes to ensure that globalization benefits all. So the state, in partnership with business and civil society, has a key role to play in attaining a good life for all its citizens. So globalization has promoted uh, a higher quality of life with all comforts, though it widened the gap between the rich and the poor. And globalization also has changed the role of the state in many ways, and it is often seen to have lowered the importance of the state. Not all of these negative images are justified. So, this is the advantages and disadvantages of MNCs and globalization process. So, we have syllabus in fourth chapter is about some regional organizations like SARC and Asian. So we will start with the first regional organization that is SARC. So SARC is an association with its full form, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, is an intergovernmental body that promotes the growth of regional and economic cooperation. So it can be called one of the examples of regional integration. It is sometimes called like a jammed vehicle because of it is deadlock since 2016 after the Pathankot attack. So South Asia is uh, uh, the least integrated of all the nations except the Middle East. So the need of this establishment of SARC is it has largest poor population in the world and it most vulnerable to natural disasters. So uh, so if you see the establishment of this SARC and the need for the SARC is completely the primary objective of this SARC is peace and prosperity and regional cooperation. So it has extremely vulnerable to great power politics due to strategic location for it. It is the conflict in the region in the hour of instability. So there is an urgent need for regional integration. Uh, so the principle of SARC is based on the principles of Panchashil, which are based on respect for sovereignty and non-interference in the domestic affairs. So the decision making at SARC is decided by consensus So if we see the primary steps in the establishment of this regional organization, the SARC established with the signing of the SARC Charter in Dhaka on 8th December of 1985. So the idea of regional cooperation in South Asia was first raised in November 1980 after the consultation of foreign secretaries of 7 founding countries. The founding countries are: one is Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka, met for the first time in Colombo in April 1981. So Afghanistan became the newest member of SARC at the 13th annual summit in 2005. So at present, there are 8 member states are there in this SARC organization. The headquarters and secretariat of the association are at Kathmandu, located in Nepal. So if you see the principles of SARC, cooperation within the framework of the SARC shall be based on the respect for the principles of sovereign equality, territorial integrity, political independence, non-interference in the internal affairs of the other states, and mutual benefit. So such cooperation shall not be a substitute for bilateral or multilateral cooperation, but shall complement them. So such a cooperation shall not be inconsistent with bilateral and multilateral obligations. So if we see the present, the 8 member states, if you see at alphabetical order, one is Afghanistan, second Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, Sri Lanka. So these 8 are the member states in this SARC organization. There are currently 9 observers to the SARC, namely Australia, China, European Union, Iran, Japan, the Republic of Korea, Mauritius, Myanmar, United States, or America. If we see the areas of cooperation with this SARC, majorly about human resource development and tourism, agriculture and rural development, environment, natural disasters and biotechnology, economic, trade and finance, social affairs, information and poverty alleviation, energy, transport, science and technology, education, security, and culture, and other objectives. So if we see the objectives of the SARC organization, if you see the organizations of this SARC organization, majorly to promote the welfare of people of South Asia, to improve their quality of life. So they are especially established for the regional cooperation, particularly and also it is established to accelerate economic growth in the member states, social progress and cultural development in the region, and to provide all individuals the opportunity to live in dignity and to realize their full potentials, and also to promote and strengthen collective self-reliance among the countries of South Asia. So, and also to contribute to mutual trust between the member nations, and understanding and appreciation of one another's problems, and also to promote active collaboration and mutual assistance in the economic, social, cultural, and technical and scientific fields. And also it is established to strengthen cooperation with other developing countries, and strengthen cooperation among themselves in international forums on matters of common interest, and to cooperate with international and regional organizations with similar aims and purposes. So if you see the principal organs of cooperation, meeting of heads of state or government. Meetings are held at the summit level, usually on an annual basis, and the committee provides overall monitoring and cooperation, determines priorities, mobilizes resources, and approves projects and financing by the Standing Committee of Foreign Secretaries. And also, it has a secretariat, was established at Kathmandu on 16th January of 1987. Its role to coordinate and monitor the implementation of SAARC activities, service the meetings of the association, and serve as a channel of communication between SAARC and other international organizations. So, this secretariat comprises the Secretary General, 7 directors, and the General Services staff. So, the Secretary General was appointed by the Council of Ministers on the principle of rotation for a non-renewable tenure of 3 years. So if you see the importance of the SAARC comprises 3% of the world's area, 21% of the world's population, and 3.8% of the global economy. So it is the world's most densely populated region and one of the most fertile areas. So SAARC countries have common tradition, dress, food, and culture, and political aspects, thereby synergizing their actions. And also, all the SAARC countries have common problems and issues like poverty, illiteracy, malnutrition, natural disasters, internal conflicts, industrial and technological backwardness, low GDP, and poor socioeconomic condition, and uplift their living standards, thereby creating common areas of development and progress having common solutions. If you see its achievements, the free trade area, SAARC is comparatively a new organization in global arena. So the member states have established a free trade area which will increase their internal trade and lessen the trade gap of some states considerably. And also SAPTA, South Asian Preferential Trading Agreement, for promoting trade amongst the member countries, came into effect in 1995. So, and also a free trade agreement confined to goods, but excluding all services like information technology. Agreement was signed to reduce customs duties of all traded goods to zero by the year 2016. And also SAARC Agreement on Trade in Services, SATIS. SATIS is a following the GATS plus positive list approach to trade in services of liberalization. And also it is established a SAARC university in India, a food bank, and also an energy reserve in Pakistan. So the university name is South Asian University. It is established by the SAARC. So in tomorrow's class, we will discuss more information about SAARC and another regional organizations like Asian and European Union and BRICS. So okay, thank you for your participation. I am concluding the session. Thank you. We will meet again at tomorrow at same time. Thank you. I am concluding the session.